Hello, everybody. Juan Ochoa, JGO Mortgage. Welcome to the first episode of JGO Entrepreneur Series. Today, for the first episode, I flew in a special person from Maryland. And that's going to be our first guest from the state of Maryland. Can you believe that? I'm very proud of this guy. He graduated from UC Santa Barbara and he started a very good insurance business that led him to San Diego. In San Diego, he felt like he wasn't going anywhere. Imagine he was in San Diego already. And he decided to, in the middle of COVID, to open up a business in the state of Maryland. Imagine going from San Diego to the unknown of the state of Maryland and actually doing something out there. I've known this guy since he was in diapers, and now you probably know who he is. I want to present my brother, Miguel Ochoa.
Yeah, bro.
Welcome.
Thank you. How's it going?
How does it feel being the first guest?
It feels fantastic. I'm excited about the opportunity. And when you first told me, and you actually just told me today that I was flown out here to do a podcast, I was excited. And I said, let's go. He knows I'll do anything for him. And I'm happy to be here.
Well, let's start with San Diego. I know everybody loves San Diego. We loved San Diego when we were there. But what guide us through the mindset or the thought process? Remember, this was 2020. COVID was killing all of us, and state of Maryland, do a new business, start flipping.
Mm-hmm.
Guide us through the mindset or the thought process during that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we'll step it back on how it started that I got to San Diego. So every time, I guess when you're stuck, you say, I want to move somewhere to, make my life better, right? So I lived in the Valley. We grew up in the Valley, Central Valley, California, small town. So it's a small town living. And you always feel like, okay, if I get out of here, where can I go to be a badass? And I decided, okay, San Diego it is, which, can you blame me? Great weather, beautiful restaurants, you're right by the water, the weather's 70 degrees year round. I mean, you just can't miss living in San Diego and being the most amazing person and being the most amazing attitude and having the most amazing life until you get there and then you're like, shit, like what is missing that I don't have that? Like I don't have the perfect life. Like I'm not thriving mentally. Like my business is not thriving like I thought it was by me switching to the most amazing city in the world or in the US, maybe the world. And once I got there and I figured that out, that I had that emptiness, then it's why I pivoted to finding something else, which is why I went to Maryland. And it's the same thing. You kind of think you're gonna jump somewhere and have the most amazing life.
So what they say that the grass is not always greener on the other side, right?
It's really not. It's not always greener, and we'll get to that. But I think, and it sounds cliche, but like you make your grass green, because I'll get to.
I like that.
I'll get to why I went to Maryland, because I was not happy with what I had done in San Diego, and it was all my fault. And I didn't, put that mindset that I needed to be the person that I needed to be comfortable anywhere. So I head to Maryland, and I said, well, I'm flipping houses now. So I decided to get into the real estate market, into the industry, where it's just flipping houses. And then eventually I got into the new construction. But I get to Maryland, culture shock. I mean, I'm in the little town. I mean, it's just like, everything's different. The way of life, the politics, small town, the people. I'm used to living in California, which is, very, very multicultural, and it's just a shock. The weather is ridiculous. You know, it's super cold in the winter. It snows sometimes, and then it's like humid and hot in the summer. And there's a lot of stuff that I went through. And once I got there, I was thinking I was gonna be multi-millionaire real estate tycoon. And then I get there and I just get slapped in the face with reality that it's still very, very hard to get to a place and think it's gonna be awesome when I get there.
Right. So let's dive a little deeper into that. Obviously, you felt like you didn't have, you weren't like fully fulfilled, or your mindset wasn't all that. So, what made you think that moving to Maryland or getting that first home would change that? Was it like a challenge, or you just like, let's just do it and see what happens? What do you think?
It's just your mind telling you that I need to that I'm not happy. So if I switch something, then I'm gonna be happy. Right? So it's like, okay, I'm not happy in San Diego because this, maybe if I flip houses or if I start building houses, I'm gonna be happy.
Right.
And then I get to Maryland and I find out that I was not working on myself, that I was working on just like different jobs or different opportunities, but I wasn't working on this, which is to have the right mindset of how can you be a badass in your mind to be able to fulfill being a badass builder, or even being a badass insurance agent, or even being a badass broker, you know, and like in your career. So regardless of what you do, it's, you know, how you get that mentality in place to be a badass. And, you know, we could dive a little bit more into it and how I got there, but that is how I got to Maryland and how I stayed.
So how does tell us about the first property?
Yeah, so I got there. It was by coincidence. Like, I didn't just say I'm gonna move to Maryland. You know, I went to visit some family members that lived in a small town in Maryland, and we had a little bit of money saved up, so decided to go see houses. You know, so it was just kind of like a productive kind of visiting the family, and why not go see real estate? Because I had heard great things about that area. You know, as you know, California is very expensive. And we had done some work here, very minor flip, a little bit of real estate down here. And once I got there, the first day we got there, we saw a property with a lot of potential, and we jumped on it. We put an offer, and it got accepted. And that's how I began to really look into kind of investing down there. And I still live in San Diego, but I started kind of per se, I'm gonna do this part-time.
Right, it started part-time because flying from San Diego to first acquire the property, and then once the property was acquired, then start working on the rehab part. So my understanding, that property, it was a big property. I might be able to put some, at least a picture, see if I'm able to pull out some pictures. It was like a big 3-story Victorian home, because that's very typical architecture over there. And it was like about 50 something, like 60,000 for something like that. And it had 18,000 square foot lot. So it was a huge lot, and it's a corner lot. And you bought it, right? And then it's like, you never done this before. You didn't even know what a 2x4 was.
I did not.
Or where to get started. Right? So how was that? How was those first flips, as far as just the amount of stuff that you didn't know?
Very complicated, very hard. It was tough because you figure I'm gonna need a screw, and you think that screw is good for everything, but there's like 20 different screws, you know, finish screws, there's screws for drywall, you know, there's structural screws that are like 7 inches, you know, for trusses. So there's a lot of stuff that you have to learn. And it was very hard going through the process, but very fulfilling, because you're able to get out of your comfort zone and really learn stuff. And one thing that I've really gotten from this entrepreneur spirit that I'm in now is that everything seems very, very difficult. Everything seems kind of impossible until you get in there and be like, that makes sense. I mean, if you're good at listening, taking notes, and just looking at it, the second time you look at it or the third time, it's gonna be like, that's it. Now you feel like it's rocket science, but it's really not. And one thing, and I was just talking to my brother about that earlier before we got into this podcast, was that if you feel like you need to be ready to jump into something, it's never gonna happen because nobody is ever ready. You know, nobody, Elon Musk didn't have the coding to get that rocket that went up in space and came down. Did he say, I'm gonna wait till I get this code ready for that rocket to go up and down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and start SpaceX? No. Like, you gotta not wait until you're ready. Like, you gotta not wait until Maryland is not cold, or Maryland is not hot, or Maryland is perfect, or you have a beautiful house that you could go to Maryland. Because when I was going there, you know, it was rough, you know, because I had to stay, you know, somewhere down there. I had my apartment or my condo down in San Diego. So, I mean, it's an expense. You're investing. And God knows I was not ready. Not at all. But I jumped. And here we are now, you know, doing a lot better than, you know, what I was doing in '09 going into 2010.
Right. Yeah, and it's a good.
I'm sorry, 2019 going to 2020.
So that's a great point about waiting to be ready. I mean, this is a testament of somebody that wasn't ready, right here. Because never doing a flip or knowing what screws you need or the process or what a 2x4 is. I mean, but you know, that's a testament of not being ready, but just doing it, just jumping into it. And that's something that I feel very proud of him for all that he has done, and that he's still doing it. So you started doing some flips. So tell us about the flips that were done and how the transition to new construction, because I understand everything's new construction now.
Mostly new construction. We in Maryland is very humid. The foundations are raised foundations, so basically they're not like California where they have a concrete slab, which you can still have, you know, foundation damage here, you know, with settling and with weathers, but the raised foundations, they're about 36, 46 inches. I mean, some were like really low, like 12, 13 inches. So all the humidity goes under there and it rots these 100-year-old houses. So we were going in there and dismantling the houses, and the more layers we took out, the more rotten it was. So we learned a lot through the process of first flipping, and then once we got that lot with a big Victorian house, it was a double lot, and we ended up subdividing that lot. So we flipped the house, sold it, and we kept the lot, and then we got into new construction by just having that lot. So we have a lot. We do, you know, we go into it scared out of our minds. My God, the permitting. We're gonna have to run utilities in there, run power, run sewer, run water, right? When we already have a flip that has everything, and we just gotta, you know, fix it up, which is still a headache. And then scary, right? Because new construction, oh my God, what a horrible animal. Not easy, it's easier. We ended up running sewer, water. Just gotta get the right people that know how to do this stuff. Like, it's not, you gotta be the head, the brain to put everybody together, but you gotta get the people that know how to do this stuff. And you gotta learn, you know, what needs to be done and the processes. But it was eye-opening to see how easy it was. Not easy, but it's very complicated. But how non-complex it was to get it done, as opposed to doing a flip. So once we got into that market, never let go. My idea was looking for lots now instead of looking for these old houses, and it became more profitable than getting this house that was about to fall and me putting all this money into it, because it costs more sometimes to put all this money into this because a lot of labor, as opposed to having a blueprint where they just, you know, erect the structure and we're out.
Yeah, and when he says easy, it's not easy. It's easy because he's already been doing it a couple of years. So all the trials and tribulations of going through flips and rehabbing, I mean, you literally had to lift those homes, because back then they sat the home on not even a foundation. It was like a bricks
Or like piers.
or piers. So they sat it, and it was like an opening like this on the crawl space. And obviously, you cannot do anything with that. So you literally had to lift it, clean out all the dirt, so you could create an 18 or 24-inch crawl space, so you could get down there and run your ducts for AC or in waters, because it's done through the bottom on those type of foundations.
Raised foundations.
So it's easy now once you've done it a year or two, obviously, but that's everything in life. The point here is that I'm not going to tell you his age. It's actually his birthday today, but I'm going to tell you his age. The point here is that he was in his late 30s. Could I say that?
That's fine. Yeah, give it up already.
Late 30s. And he was like, I don't care. I don't want to do this anymore. I want to jump into something. I want to do something different with my life. And you're doing it. And you're doing it. And I mean, I'm very proud of you. And I wish you all the success in life.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Anything else you want to add?
I mean, everything is gonna be hard. I want to leave you guys with that. Everything's gonna be hard. Even being here right now on my birthday, and I'm honored that Juan invited me to the first podcast. Everything is gonna be hard. You just have to connect yourself with the right people, with the right lender. You know, a lot of my flips that I do, or my new construction, I still do a couple flips if it makes sense. But I have the right lender that guides me to get the right funding, and then I get the right subcontractors. And first, I buy the land correctly, which is the biggest part. Is you gotta buy the land correctly. Once you have the land and you paid a good price for it, then you get the lending, then you get the subs, and you project manage. So I would advise anybody that's just starting in the industry, or that wants to jump into real estate, is get in a focus group. Get in a group with people that have done it before. And Juan doesn't like to toot his horn, but he just remodeled a triplex here in Merced, and he doesn't like to talk about it. And I tell him, you gotta let people know what you're doing, because they need to know that you have that expertise, and that he was part of Maryland as well, and he doesn't like to say it, but he was a big part of what we built in Maryland. So he has the construction background, he has the financing background, and he has the knowledge of how to deal with adversities. And I just feel like, connect yourself with people that have done it before. Pay your dues, and I don't mean monetary, just pay your dues with time. Learn and get in that group. You gotta get in that group before it gets too big, or you just gotta get in that group so you could get to know how to do stuff.
That's right. He just gave it away. That was my second podcast. I was gonna interview myself. Be on the lookout. All right, guys. Thank you. Juan Ochoa, JGO Mortgage. Have a great day. Bye-bye.